All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dowell. And of course, what I want to do here this morning is I want to talk to you about something. I get a lot of questions. I know a lot of people simply just do not understand the amount of questions that I receive. Now, there's no way that I can get to every single one of them. But the majority of the questions that I receive today are nothing more than religious in nature. And let me try to explain that if I can. The majority of questions that I get, it comes from a mind that has already been shaped and has already been formed after the Greek Roman culture, which we all find ourselves living in. And what we live in, of course, and then what people do is they believe that they're asking biblical questions, but they're asking questions coming from the perspective and coming from the point of view or viewpoint of the society we all have been reared in. And ultimately, it is a Christian-based society. And I know that this literally just shocked the shoes off of many people, but the religion of Christianity is not written about in the Bible. No way, shape, fashion, or form. I mean, when you have the Old Testament, you have 4,000 years of the history of the Hebrew people. That's one family out of the whole entire face of the earth. And when you look at the New Testament, you're looking at bare minimum a span of 60 years, no more than 100 years of Greek Roman influence. And the unbalance that we have is that we live in a Christian society, which is a religion that was formed in the 3rd and 4th century after the Messiah had passed. That's the reason why you never see any laws, statutes, commandments, rules, and guidelines written about that particular religion, because our people were not familiar with it. Yet and still, we know what the prophet says. We know what the prophet said. The prophet says that all these nations are confederate against the Hebrew people, and they want all of us to forget that we're Israel. And they have almost successfully done that, except only one problem. We're at the end of all things. We're at the restitution, the restoration of all things, and things are being restored, whereas it may have been lost once before. There's a spirit, a ruah, an unction that is coming from the Most High that is restoring back to everyone. So, somebody asked me why now. I'll tell you why now. Time. That's why. It's time. But I get a lot of religious questions proposed to me, and that's pretty much what they are. And they want me to try to answer them according to what they already understand, which is never going to happen. You will never be able to comprehend what I am saying to you unless you do your own due diligence and get clear in the matter and understanding the history of the Hebrew people and the Torah, and not Judaism, not Christianity, and not Islam. I mean, you're not going to understand what the law and the prophets is all about. For instance, if I want to understand times and seasons, I'll go to Enoch, because after all, he the one who understood times and seasons. If I want to go to the law, I'll go to Moshe. I'll go to Moses, the Torah. After all, who knows the law better than the custodian of it? With all that said, I got a lot of brand new people coming in asking me questions, because what they do is they go and look and see what somebody else is doing or not doing. And they ask me questions, well, why come we don't do this? And why come we don't do that? And why come we don't do this? First of all, stop, time out for a moment. How about we ask this question right here? How about we present this to our minds and unconscious? Pastor Dowell is not a Johnny-come-lately. I've been in this thing for well over 20 years. And the fruit of my ministry is the people who actually follow me as I follow the Messiah. And in this 20 years, can you imagine how much I knew when I first started? I'll tell you how much I knew when I first started compared to where I'm at now. Zero. A big goose egg. And even now, after 20 years later, after recovering a lot of things that have definitely been lost to my people, and still recovering it, I still view myself as someone who pretty much don't know too much of nothing. Now, while I do know that I know more than the next so-called perceived scholar, even at that, when I look back over my 20-year span plus of being into this, and I continually keep seeing how much I learn every single year, again and again and again, I feel inadequate. I really, truly do. I understand and know the things that I know because I live. I don't run my mouth like a lot of people do. I preach the gospel, and not only do I preach it, but I live it. I live a set-apart life. Many of you people have been here to the community, those who follow me, and you see that when you look in the book of Acts, you see in the best model that I can present today based on the efforts of my hands, the resources that the Most High Yah's given me. And I'm sure if he just dropped millions of dollars in my hands, I could do even greater than that. But this is what he's given to me. But I'm not one to sit back and propose questions to people while I do not live anything myself. The reason why the ministry carries so much strength is because I preach the gospel, I live the gospel. And I'm not basing anything that I do on the opinions of people who have grown up in this American society, had their minds stripped and tainted by this American Roman Greek culture. No, I go back to the Torah, I go back to the Bible, and I live after that. With all that said, I don't mind people asking me questions, but you have to understand, what I'm saying is if I've lived this thing, not just sitting back talking about it, not being on social media networks, just not going on YouTubes or checking out what other ministries and everything else have to say. I don't have time for that. I live this thing. The people here straightway, we live this. Do you understand? I mean, that's the reason why our conviction is a little greater than a lot of other people, because we are living a set apart sacrifice life as commanded in the Bible. So with that said again, and I'm trying to reiterate that over and over and over again, I don't mind people asking me questions, but before you ask a lot of questions thinking that you have an understanding on something, should not, for conscience sake or intelligence, should not intelligence tell you, now wait a minute, if these people been doing this for 20 something years and I've only been doing this for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, I think that these people, just by virtue of experience, have been through a lot of things. Now, but what I get is I get novices, which the Bible talks about people who are lifted up with pride, who have not lived this thing at all, to any measure, to where I'm at right now. They want to question what I'm doing while they themselves live nothing. You can't see the conviction of the Holy Spirit on their life. I mean, it's utterly appalling and amazing. And the truth is, you know, that's one reason why I don't answer a lot of foolish and unlearned questions, simply because they're not warranted attention. Because I can, you know, I got enough sense to know that I can sit back and give you answers, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be the answer that's going to be suffice to you. It's no way, shape, fashion, or form, because I can give you a truthful answer, but unless you have the spirit of truth, unless you already understand what the truth is, it's not going to convince you. You're never going to be convinced of truth until you actually do the research, or you have the Holy Spirit that just comes and just knocks you over left and right. Do I still have a lot to obtain to? Sure I do, and I strive for it every single year. As a matter of fact, be the Father's will, if I'm in this thing for another 20 or 30 or 40 years, be the Father's will, and he has mercy on me, which I believe he will, because it's all up to him. I plan on being 3, 4, 5 times more intelligent concerning the law of Yahweh than I am now. That means that I'm on the straightway right now. And that means 20 years from now, I'm going to continue to stay in this walk. It's going to get even more narrower. That only a few will be on this path, because it doesn't tell us that many people are going to be on this path. It just doesn't. It does not tell us that. It says straight is the way, narrow is the gate, and few there be that find it. And I'm searching continually, even while I'm on the path, I'm still searching for more of the straight and more of the narrow and more of the set apart way. And I live that way. The evidence is before your very eyes. When you see us working on the land, I'll let you into a measure of what we're doing, so that it will bring inspiration unto you and unction, let you see that the blessings of the Most High Yah, you know, he doesn't have a money tree that falls out of heaven or Shemaim and comes down here and then just gives you money and then you pay everybody else to do the work for you. And all the blessings of heaven come from right here, him inspiring you and giving you strength by the work, the fruit of your hands, the works of your labors right here. And he gives you strength to go out and do his will and to build the kingdom. And then there's the blessing, because all a man's pleasure comes right here. And everything that he labors for is for this belly right here. I mean, it's just a fact, it's just the truth. So if people think that they have questions of me, let me set you down and let me ask you a series of questions. Now, that would be totally unfair, wouldn't it? Considering that I've been in this thing 20 plus years, and not only been in it, but here it is. Here's the key part right here. Living it. No, Pastor Dow doesn't live in the city next to the Goyams. I don't live out in the city. The Hebrew people were a shepherd people. They were farmers. That's what I do. So I no, I don't have a TV signal on the land to where I can sit down and just look at every sitcom that there is and stuff. I'm a very busy man. And by the lifestyle that I lead and I live, there are a lot of people that are being inspired by it, so much so that they know and they understand that it's the right way. That, hey, I've got people moving clear across the country from California to this little bitty old town right here. And I use the figure of speech, but it's really not me, it's the Father. And I've got people who are righteous, and I mean really, truly righteous, and intelligent people at that. Intelligent people. When I use the form intelligent, I don't mean that you have to have a college degree in order to be intelligent. But the ministry is just about, when it comes to business owners and people who have degrees, we're a little bit over maybe like 60% of the people in the ministry that are physically around us. These people have degrees. These people own businesses. These people are an intelligent people. And these people just don't take people's words at face value. They go study things out. They research it. But I guess what I'm saying is this, is that if you believe that there's something that I'm not doing right, give it time. Give it time. But I will tell you this. If you think that there's something that I'm not doing right, I guarantee you I can think of 100 things that you are not doing right. And I'm not trying to go tit for tat to go apples and oranges and stuff. It's like the other day, I had somebody ask me, Pastor Dow, when you going to do a teaching on the moons? I'm not anytime soon, because it's not in my focus. That's not what the Holy Spirit has my focus, or my attention is not important to me right now. I'm growing in the grace, and I'm growing in the knowledge of Yahshua HaMashiach. And I can't grow in that grace and growing in knowledge if I hit a subject for 5% of the time, and then back off it and go hit another one 2% of the time, and then back off it and hit another 1% of the time, and think that I have a working knowledge of what the word says. I don't. That is nonsensical. It just doesn't make any sense. No, I need to focus my attention where the Ruah has me, and I need to understand everything that there is to understand about that particular subject before I move on. Because you see, unlike a lot of people, if Pastor Dow write a book, and I'm in the process of doing that, if I get out and I give a lecture, or if I preach and teach, I'm not like a lot of the American people out here. If I say something, I get scrutinized to the utmost. I have to prove every single word, every single line, every single sentence that is written. People just don't take my word at face value like they do many other authors and stuff. It's amazing. People can go out and read an article and give more respect to that article than me, who's actually living something in front of them and preaching and teaching his word. And I'm amazed at that attitude. I really, truly am. But I do understand exactly what's going on. I understand what they have done to our minds in this country. And I speak about it extensively. But can you imagine that we live in a world, live in a society now that when a man speaks the truth, that he is hated for that truth? That's where we're at. So I promise you, I've got many things I can question and challenge a lot of people on that I guarantee you they cannot answer, nor can they live. I've got questions. How can you say you're a Hebrew and you're still stuck in the cities living around the Gentiles? I don't understand that because that's not what I see in the book. I just don't get it. I do not get it. Now, that's not directed towards those who already have in their heart and mind. They're looking for land. They're doing the things that are necessary in order to separate themselves because, I mean, after all, you read this in the New Testament, come out of her, my people. Not only does that mean physically, but that means right here too. Right here in the mind. Because we have to be transformed. Our mind must be renewed. And most people refusing this. So I guess what I say over and over again, I'm the type of person like the Apostle Paul. It's a small thing. If I'm questioning of you, it's a small thing. If you don't esteem me too high as far as biblical knowledge, it's totally irrelevant to me because I'm going to say the same thing Paul said. You've added nothing to me. Nothing. So why should I even pay attention to you? And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but that's just the straight up truth. Why should I pay attention to a bunch of people who I can't look at them and see the Ruah is really dominating and ruling in their life like he should be? I don't pay. I'd be a fool to give attention to something like that. But I tell you what, as we go on in this journey, and those who follow me as we follow the Messiah, we're going to get there. But no, I'm not going to go off and study different theories and different doctrines and commandments and traditions of men in order to appease the conscience of a few people. I have a people that I'm leading, and being a pastor is a total different position than being a lay person. More than anything, I think the attitude that people should do is try to figure out why we are doing what we're doing, study and learn what we have learned, get a good grasp of that so that we can all move forward together. And that's just the truth. I had somebody the other day bring a question. Is a pastor over the elders? Well, let's bring this at home to you. A pastor is a shepherd. He's a leader. That's what he is. Do you ever question your manager, your general manager, the company CEO? Do you ever question why you're following his leadership when you go and receive a paycheck? Because if you're in this world and you're working on this world, you are under some kind of authority. Why don't you go question them and tell them that you don't like their rule? You don't like the way that they're running things. And let's see how long you stick around that particular venture. Let's see how long you keep that job. But see, we never think about this. It's amazing. I think the biggest cancer we got going on today is people coming over from the philosophy of Christianity. And I've never seen nothing like it. They gave more honor to people who were a lot of them, like TBN, TD Jakes, Creflo Dollar, John Hagee. I mean, I go on and on and on. Paula White. These people are fleecing the people out there who are religious in nature, and people love it. And I know the reason why they love it, because they have turned a blind eye to holiness. They've turned a blind eye and they have made people feel comfortable in their iniquity and their sin. I'm not about to do that. I have one soul. I have one chance at this life. And what I do is going to echo throughout all of eternity. Now, most people may not take that serious. And they may put a low value up on their soul. But I esteem my soul very highly. I've been in heathenism to where I did not live with any conviction whatsoever at all, thinking that there was a creator universe. If I did, he was just somebody I acknowledged mentally. He was, it was just a figment of my imagination, because I wasn't convicted enough to live anything. And then one day, all of a sudden, my whole entire life changed. My perspective changed. The Ruach came into me, and everything changed about me. So I don't expect everybody to understand the level of conviction that I have. And I'm sure that there are many people out there that live even more of a set-apart life than I do. But for you who are behind me, and have not been in this thing long at all to question the integrity of my life. I think the truth is we need to really truly look at your life. I believe that that's a fact. I believe that's the truth. And that's the truth straight way. We need to actually really truly look at you. Now, I said all that not so you can get offended, but I said all that before you ask questions. Develop the attitude, the character, and the nature to where you first look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself clearly. See yourself clearly. And when you remove the beam that is in your own eye, that's an offense, you'll see clearly to remove the mote out of mine. And that is the truth. I try my best to do what I can to help people. I hope that you understand. May the peace of Yahshua HaMashiach be within your hearts. That is my prayer. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope that some way, somehow, that you have gained understanding from this short message here this morning. Now, if you're offended, that's none of my business. That is none of my business. It's between you and him. I have nothing to do with that at all. But I'm not here to follow the dictates and the mandates of people who do not know Torah, and neither am I here in captivity to follow the dictates and the mandates of an unlawful system where we follow Greek and Roman culture, calling ourselves Americans, who have deceived my heart and my mind to try to make sure that they strip from my mind and keep from my mind and conscience that I'm a Hebrew. I already know I'm a Hebrew. I know I'm an Israelite. I know that already. I understand clearly what has gone on. I understand the manipulation and the coercion. I think the ideal is you try to get an understanding. With that, we move on. By the way, silver's getting ready to go back up.